Well, thank you, and I will always avoid despair. I just want to start with a headline in the European papers today. It comes from a WHO report, and the headline is, "Lethal heat is Europe's new climate reality." Not ideology, climate reality. And what the report says is over the next 3 days in Europe, 4,500 people are very likely to die from heat stress. Southern Europe is reaching 46 degrees centigrade over these days. This is a new heat record for Central Europe. So what we're seeing already, and the demonstration is there for us today, is the reality of climate change with us. And I'm going to say we have entered a period of climate disasters of increasing intensity year on year, particularly over the last 5 years, as a result of the desultory response of the world's political systems to clear warnings from the climate scientists. And I'm, of course, one of those, and my despair may come across in those comments. Over the past 4 decades, these messages have been put across. Greenhouse gas levels are still rising, and rising more rapidly than before. Now, because we're adding methane leakage to the overall greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere. If you want to know why it's getting so bad, maybe the increased use of LNG lies behind this. So this big dependence on finding more gas to deal with the Russia-Ukraine crisis, and I understand the nature of the crisis, is nevertheless creating major problems. Let me just, if I may, talk about not just the fossil fuel lobby, the lobby that defends the incumbent energy producers, and I'm afraid I felt I could hear it in the last discussion. But let me talk about loss and damage to these extreme weather events. Last year, well in excess of $500 billion globally was lost in infrastructure due to extreme weather events. There's been an actuarial analysis. The actuaries based in London working for the insurance and reinsurance sectors have got together with the climate scientists from the University of Exeter, produced a report where they're estimating going forward in time what loss and damage is likely to be over the coming years. And I want to stress this, in 25 years' time, they're saying 15%, plus or minus 5, there's an error margin on this, 15% of global GDP in infrastructure will be lost every year. Just 25 years' time. Are we addressing that problem as we go forward? Let me go through some of these extreme events that are already occurring. Vietnam. This is a country very close to sea level. Vietnam, third biggest rice producer in the world, we're now estimating will be under seawater, 85% of the landmass under seawater 2 to 3 months in the year, again in 25 years' time. I'm going to stick to 2050 as my predictive point. Rice production in Indonesia, Southeast China, is also at risk because those rice paddy fields are also close to sea level. We're looking at a massive loss of food production from that area for the world. Northeast Greece, I'm going back to extreme events. July 2023, I happened to be in Greece at that time. Forest fire, 2,000 square kilometers of forest burnt down. Northeast Greece, the area is called Diranakoria. And in that loss, we lost the biggest natural forest in Europe. And I'm going to say to you, we lost hotels, residences, schools, barns, but the loss is not so easily reversible. Let me take you to a totally different part of the world, southern Brazil. In southern Brazil, Porto Alegre, the capital of the southern state, suffered from extreme flooding. Now, all these events have never occurred of this kind before. 620,000 people were evacuated from that city. This is the biggest city in southern Brazil, and they were evacuated over a 4-week period, 190 deaths. And the point I'm making here is these extreme weather events, I could go on and on, are occurring around the world in a way they haven't before. We've all heard of Los Angeles and the fire that destroyed a big part of that great city, and that around $150 billion of loss and damage just from that one event. So I'm saying this is not an ideology, this is an imperative for action, and we need to see that we step up to the plate. What is the cause of this? Is greenhouse gas increases. Since that meeting in Paris 2015, I was one of the senior negotiators at that event. We have just seen greenhouse gases increase year on year. And as I've just said, methane emissions, and methane is 120 times more effective as a greenhouse gas than a carbon dioxide molecule. So methane is terrible. And the methane leaking from all this methane recovery, methane also coming from cattle quite effectively, all of this is leading to greenhouse gas increases, and as predicted by the climate scientists, temperatures go up. Temperatures have now exceeded 1.5 degrees centigrade, and this is not reversing. In fact, this year we've reached an average global temperature rise of 1.7 degrees centigrade. That target of staying below 1.5 has been exceeded, and that was seen to be a level we should never go beyond.
David,
sorry, can I make one more point?
Sure.
The Arctic Circle, then I want to come back, but the Arctic Circle...
There will be lots of questions from Andreas a few afterwards, but carry on. Yeah.
The Arctic Circle, Greenland is now losing 30 million tons of ice per hour.
Wow.
Per hour, billions of tons a year. Now, Greenland has enough ice that when it's all melted, global sea levels will have risen by 6.5 meters. 6.5 meters. We certainly couldn't be sitting here. Or 24 feet. Is that happening irreversibly without deliberate human intervention? Yes, that is now happening irreversibly. So what we're looking at is global sea level rise, temperature rise, heat stress deaths. What do we do now? I want to come back and discuss that.